If you have questions regarding that, give it to Maddie. Maddie's going to play with you. My daughter's here. Yesterday, we buried my mom. So if I'm not very overly enthusiastic, you know why. Worky is the silliest goose. Good morning. I love that name. Nietzsche, good morning. How are you? Sue, good morning. Welcome in. Big Sky Country Fine Sandra, good morning. How are you doing? Welcome in. Loki's giving me toys this morning. So, because Daddy's down at the boat this morning. So, good morning. Good morning. So we're going to be talking about shipping, Whatnot Canada, the updated version. So the one that I have on my playlist, I will change it up, and this will be the one that's on my playlist. Deals on Style. Good morning, honeys. How are you? How are you doing, Kyle? Hope Deshaun is doing well as well. Well as well. Well as well. Okay. Anyways, I'm having a morning. So we had a lovely graveside service for Mom. And yeah, it was quite lovely, and I got to see my cousins, which was nice. So it was really good. Thank you so much. Love you so much. Thank you for the hugs. Hello, Peach Ice. Welcome in. And Tova's home. Welcome in. I haven't put up the show notes yet because I'm waiting for my other phone to charge. So hopefully soon I'll be able to put up the show notes. Thank you. Thank you, Sandra. I hope you're doing well. So today we're going to be talking about shipping, all about shipping. So I'm just going to kind of dive into it. If you have questions related to shipping, I will try to answer them. I'll try to answer them in the sequence, because basically what I'm going to do is kind of take you through a step-by-step decision process from before you even schedule a show all the way to your show is over and now what do you do? Or your week is over and you sold a whole bunch of things, and how do you do that? So we're going to be talking about everything step by step. So again, if you do have questions, feel free to ask them. This will be available on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, and on my YouTube channel, which is the Red Rooster CA, all one word, CA for Canada. That's where you will find my Whatnot sellers playlist. Oh, you know what? I just realized my free resources is not on here. Import from inventory. I don't know why it's not in here. Resources. And there's chaos in the house today. Sorry, I'm just going to hold you guys up for a second. There's chaos in the house because my daughter is here for the funeral. And we now have 5 dogs in the house because she brought her 2 chihuahuas. So we have quite the chaos going on. But Maddie seems to know. Maddie grew up with dogs. Good morning, Sadia. Good morning, Mia Vita. V19, welcome in. Miller, welcome in. So if it does get a little chaotic with dogs, sorry, but there's like 5 in the house today. Okay. So let's get going. I will. Tova's home says I did my first show the other day and it charged buyers every few items at full price shipping. Not sure why it did that. Did you use a custom shipping profile? That's my first question. Did you use a custom shipping profile? If anybody wants to bid on this, I don't know what I would give you if you won. So it's just free resources for Whatnot sellers. You're not sure now? Okay. So let's go through it, because it shouldn't have done that unless you had done a custom shipping profile, which a lot of people watch videos that say you should do a custom shipping profile and here's how to do it. And then they copy that and then they wonder why their sellers are getting charged too much. And it also depends on your weight too. Shop with Danny. Hello. Roxy's Treasures. Hello. Hello. Sweetly Country. Good morning. So if you're an American watching this right now, some of this stuff is going to be universal. Other things are going to be very specific to Whatnot Canada for Canadian sellers, because we have a totally different shipping system. So if you're looking for information as a US seller, my go-to girls are Draz, D-R-A-Z, D_archivist, D-archivist, and the Hodgepodge Place. All 3 of them are great. D_archivist and the Hodgepodge Place have really great videos that you can watch on YouTube as well. So those are the 3 people that I go to for questions and answers. There's a few others like but those are the ones. Those are my go-to. Good morning, Arlene. Roxy's Treasures. Thank you for those cute little bones. I love it. Okay, so if you do have questions, feel free to ask them. Just put a a question mark. So just like Roxy's Treasures just did with the question mark, that way it shows up in yellow and I'll be able to see it. Good morning, AHJC. I'm sorry that circumstances meant that I wasn't able to do Fashion Friday with you. I heard it was awesome. Lee Port, welcome in. Now Linda, welcome in. Okay, so let's get started. So first and foremost, shipping on Whatnot is a sequence of decisions. And as soon, it may seem confusing at first, but once you start shipping on Whatnot, it gets so much easier and you will learn very quickly. It is an intuitive system. It may feel like it's not, but it is an intuitive system. You just have to understand the system. So if you have questions, feel free to ask them. I will try to answer them. I am going to be talking about Canadian specific realities, and we're going to go through the seller workflow. So we're going to start with number one, which is the equipment that you're going to need before you even start listing. So you're thinking about becoming a Whatnot seller, and you're not sure what equipment you need. You need a measuring tape. Wait, I had one here. I got these cute little ones. I got a whole bunch of these cute little ones. I just realized I need to hit do not disturb. I love them because I bought like a whole bunch. I bought a whole bunch of them at once. This is what most of the time I don't go past 3 feet in any direction. So a measuring tape is one important thing to have. It can be as cheap as one of these little ones. I've even sometimes when I couldn't find my measuring tape and I just needed to ship something out. This is 11 inches. This is 8.5 inches. You can use a piece of paper. You just have to fold it and figure it out and calculate it. I've done that too. So you want a measuring tape. You need a digital scale. Now, there are a lot of different digital scales. I have 3. And because my basement has been cleared out because of the flood, I have them all upstairs. So I have this one, which is a Dymo Model M10. It goes up to 10. It has a capacity of up to 10 pounds. This one I bought at Staples when I suddenly needed one. This is great for like doing shows, but it only goes up to 10 pounds. So if you're doing weekly bundling and you're selling heavy things, this is not going to do it for the end. So I don't recommend these kind of that only go up to like 10 pounds. They're great for mailing. Yes, I did burn some incense in there. This one I got on Amazon Basics. It's their digital scale balance electronique. It doesn't have, I can't see a model number. This one I love. This one goes up to 30 kilograms or 65 pounds. This 65 pounds is usually more than enough. So this one I love. And this is just an Amazon Basics, but you want to look at what the capacity is. If you're selling vintage decor and other heavy things, you could have, and you do weekly bundling, you could have a box that weighs 70 pounds. Or 65 pounds. And then I also have this one that goes up to 66 pounds. What I like about this one is for smaller things. When I'm doing shows, I use this one for doing shows because you can lift this up and hold your items there. Welcome in everybody that's come in. Welcome. We're talking about shipping today. So if you have shipping related questions, please ask them and I will try to answer. Thank you, Deals on Style. I don't know why I didn't moderate you. I love you. Thank you so much. So this is my third one, my pink one. Pink was the cheapest to buy. And this is model number IPS01, in case you want to get the exact one. But I like this because, first of all, it goes up to 66 pounds. And second of all, it has this cute little feature where you can hold things so that they don't fall down while you're trying to weigh them. So I use this one in most of my shows because it has that feature. It also has the ability that you can plug it in if you want to instead of using batteries. I know, isn't it cute? But I love that it holds it up. And it wasn't that expensive because I'm cheap. I'm cheap and cheerful, so I don't pay a lot of money for things. I've already managed to break a nail. Awesome. Okay. You also, so you need a digital scale. Think about, again, Staples usually sells ones that are for mailing, for a business, mailing letters and that. So they're not for heavy boxes. So make sure that the capacity is going to be higher than that 10-pound one, because that 10-pound one doesn't cut it for other than, I use it when usually that's the one that hangs out in my vehicle, so that when I go and do a live sell at a thrift shop or something, that's the one I use, because most of the items are not going to be over 10 pounds. And if it is over 10 pounds, nobody wants to buy it anyways, because the shipping is more expensive. All right. You also need boxes and packing material. So you can buy boxes. I bought some of these 13 by 13 centimeter boxes so that I could have them, so that if I could ship in just that size. But most of the time I recycle boxes. So I go, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later about how to get your shipping supplies. I go to my local stores and I just ask if they have any boxes. There's like, if you go, good morning, searching with ADHD. If you go to your local if you go to your local pharmacy, they've got tons of boxes in all kinds of different sizes. So if you need like small boxes, a pharmacy is a great place to go, because they usually get like small boxes of meds, right? And so they've got lots of that. Um, as long as it doesn't have something with hazardous materials in it, you're able to reuse it. Your convenience store has boxes of all sizes. Your grocery store has boxes of all sizes. And that, you know what, a lot, especially if you go to a small business, a lot of them don't want to have those boxes hanging around. They would happily give them to you. They may have broken them. They may have like folded them down, but you can take them. The local Home Hardware, I don't go there anymore. You have a hard time storing them in your house. One of the things that I think it's Living Bliss Vintage. I think it was her. Anyway, somebody from down in the States has a system in her house where all the boxes are organized by size. So they're flat, and she has them on these like really cool shelves that hold them, and they're all like organized. I'm not that organized. That's not going to happen for me. Um, Deals on Style says we have regular stores that save them for us, and I know Deals on Style has said before that your neighbors know that you sell, and they bring you their Amazon boxes and that. Um, if you like, my local Home Hardware gets their deliveries on Fridays. So if I go Friday afternoon and ask for any boxes they have and any packing material they have, they they have tons to give me, because that's their unboxing day, and the staff don't want to, like, if they know you're going to come in instead and take it off of them, they're very happy. And you'll be surprised at how much, if you go to like hardware stores, another place, Thrifting and ADHD and I met a reseller in just outside of Belleville, and she works at I think it was a Toyota dealership, an auto dealership, and she gets all these foam sheets from the new cars. And so you can go into a dealership and ask if they have any boxes and any packing materials, because they have to pay to get rid of that stuff too, right? There are a lot of small and medium sized businesses that will be happy to let you take that stuff away. And I will talk later about what boxes you can and cannot use. I don't want to get ahead of myself. You also need a printer. A thermal label printer is a nice to have. It is not a must have. That is really important to note, is that a thermal label printer is awesome, because you can just peel and stick. But you can just print on paper and then cut it out and put it onto the box with some tape. Just make sure that when you're taping a paper label that you've cut out, when you tape the paper label onto the box, do not put any tape over the barcode, because it makes it harder to scan, and that will cause it to possibly get lost in the system, or delayed. in getting to your customer, because somebody has to type that all in. Loki, come here. Come here. Let's play with your toy. Yeah, good boy. Um, and you need paper or adhesive labels. So I have a couple of thermal printers that I use. One's upstairs, one was downstairs, and that's. But I also often will print on paper. If I buy my adhesive labels on Amazon in bulk, so I buy a 8 pack, an 8 pack at a time. That lasts me a few months. Um, so if you are not at the stage yet where you're doing a lot of shipping, and you don't that time that it takes you, because it takes like 45 seconds to a minute to cut out the paper label or fold the paper label and then tape it down. You're saving that time. Time is money. But if you're not at that point yet, then save yourself the hassle and save yourself the cost and use a thermal label printer. One of the things that you can do that a lot of people don't know is when you print off your packing slip, if you have a big order and you're printing off the packing slip on thermal label printers, um, you're using a lot of labels up with the packing slip. One of the tricks that I used to do before they fixed the packing slip is I would print that entire PDF. I would print the to my regular paper printer, but I would ask it to put 4 sheets on each page so that the packing slip came out. It was a little bit smaller. The writing was a little bit smaller, but 4 sheets fit, and I could even double side it. Yeah, the new packing slip layout is awesome. I love it. I got to test it out um, before I was part of the beta testing. It was absolutely fabulous. They did some tweaks to it. The packing slip is much better now. But sometimes if you sell a lot, especially if you do weekly bundling, you could sell a lot to one person, and it does take a lot of labels. So you can send that instead. Just print on your thermal label printer, just print the one page that is the mailing label, and send all the other pages to your regular paper printer, but tell the paper printer to print four pages per sheet. And then you can just fold it and put it in the package, and you've got your packing slip. I'm team packing slip. Some people don't put packing slips in. I'm team packing slip. It's optional to put. It's still, as far as I know, optional on Whatnot. You can double check that if you want to. If you don't want to put packing slips in, double check it, help.whatnot.com. Um, I just feel like it's better to put it in so that your customer, especially if you're like me, selling to a lot of resellers, they need to remember what they paid for in the box. So that's why I do team packing slip. All right, that's it for your equipment. So you need measuring tape, a digital scale that doesn't just go to 10 pounds, boxes and packing materials, packing tape, a printer, and paper adhesive labels. Now, also with packing materials, so depending on what you're selling, you'll need boxes, or you might need, where did I put it? You might need some poly mailers. You might need a bunch of poly mailers instead. If you're selling clothes and other things that don't break, you can put them into a poly mailer. So you might want to get some poly mailers. You can get recycled poly mailers too. For example, this one that I'm going to be using as a demonstration for when we get to custom shipping profile, I've just put a sticker over top of the label. This I'm reusing, and I will use that to ship to somebody. I will reuse whatever I can. And you may need bubble wrap. There's also that and I don't have any on hand right now, but there's also the paper that's like a honeycomb paper that you can use instead, that's a little bit more environmentally friendly. I never tape when you're wrapping items. I never tape I don't use packing tape to wrap up the bubble wrap. I instead use this. Yes, it's more plastic, but so is packing tape. I use this because then you can take this off and still have the bubble wrap that can be reused. So since again, a lot of my customers are resellers, I know that they're going to be able to reuse that bubble wrap. Okay. And welcome in. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. We're talking about shipping today, and hopefully my phone is charged enough that it's going to turn on. Maybe. We'll see. Yes. Okay. Next, your step 2. So you got all your stuff, you got everything you need, you got all the equipment you need in order to be able to ship. Next, I need you to decide what you're going to your shipping and your fulfillment setup. So one, in Canada, we have a choice. We can ship by Canada Post or we can ship by Chit Chats. Choose the one that works best for your business and your life. So if the Chit Chats location is close to you, and there's a lot of places in Canada where there are no Chit Chats drop-off locations. If the location is close to you or convenient in your day-to-day life, hello, Style, you welcome in. Then pick Chit Chats. If Chit Chats is too far away or non-existent, then non-existent in your area, then obviously you are going to choose Canada Post. Now, Chit Chats, if you live, for example, in the Maritimes, there are Chit Chat drop-off locations which are Maritime Bus Company drop-offs. They're basically, you're dropping it off. You do have to pay a fee to Maritime Bus Company to ship from where you are, like in New Brunswick, on Maritime Bus Company and get it to the depot, which is in Bedford Bay in Nova Scotia. So you want to consider that. That's an extra cost to you. If you've got a Canada Post closer to you, that's free. That's basically free. The difference in price for your customers, they used to be that Chit Chats was a better option if you had U.S. customers, but then the de minimis exemption was removed by a fat guy with a Sharpie. So now we don't have the de minimis exemptions shipping to the United States. Shipping to the United States is more complicated. Chit Chats can't work with Whatnot system, so you have to ship UPS. We'll be talking about shipping to the U.S. in a little bit. So the difference in price, Chit Chats is a little bit cheaper for your customers. But again, if it's going to take you 45 minutes to an hour to get to a Chit Chats location to drop off the items and it's not part of your regular route, then you need to add that cost on to your business expenses and think about that. Is it worth it to save my customers a couple of dollars here and there to go to Chit Chats, or and I'm going to have to swallow the costs of doing that whole trip and everything? Because 45 minutes to drive there, 45 minutes back, that's an hour and a half that you could have been listing or doing a show or doing some marketing or having a rest. Like, those things are also very important, especially having a rest. Rest is important for us. Don't hit the hustle too hard or it'll hit you back harder. So consider that. And as Thrifting with ADHD just said, it's not worth it. Spoiler alert. Yeah, exactly. So you have to consider all of those. If you're going to run a business on Whatnot, decisions like, am I going to use Chit Chats or Canada Post, should be business decisions based on what's best for your business. And every single business is slightly different. Styles by Thrifty Tiff says, I don't even have a Chit Chats. Yeah, so problem solved. My Chit Chats location is 35 minutes away from me. My Canada Post location is less than a kilometer down a hill. I don't really even need to use much gas to get there. I can just coast to the post office. It's by our one light in town. So, of course, Canada Post. I ship Canada Post. It's not worth it for me, and basically I'd have to pass on those costs. The other reason why I want you to think about this, if you're going to use weekly bundling and Chit Chats, you may be thinking, no big deal, I've got weekly bundling, I can just go to Chit Chats once a week and drop off. Nope. Nope, I've heard that from people. I'm going to use weekly bundling, and so I only have to go to Chit Chats once a week, so it's not going to be a big deal. I'll just go to Chit Chats once a week. But no, if you have a customer that doesn't select weekly bundling, your buyer also has to opt into weekly bundling. If your buyer doesn't opt into weekly bundling, you've got 2 days to ship from the end of your show. So super duper important to think about that is that you can't just, you're going to hurt your shipping times, and your customer is going to be upset if you sell on a Monday and they didn't select weekly bundling and you don't ship out until the next Monday. That's going to cost you on your on-time shipping rates too. So don't do that, please. Okay, so UPS. So we do not have the option to select which country we sell to. We sell to all countries. If you sell on Whatnot, you sell to all countries, period. End of story. We just sell to all countries. So you're going to have some US customers every once in a while. And we will talk about that a little bit later, about how to deal with everything with UPS. I just want you, in your planning for your shipping and fulfillment planning, you need to know where your closest UPS drop-off location is. And it's super easy. Let's see. Sorry, just unlocking this. It is super easy. You go to ups.com and there's a find feature at the top, and you just search for the closest drop-off location. Gold Mine, good morning, or good afternoon. How is it? Tea time? So when I drop off at my UPS location, it is literally down the hill. It's a convenience store in my area. So you will be surprised. You probably have a convenience store in your area that's also, what is my husband spraying? Yeah, there's a weird smell going on in here. Sorry. Squirrel. So you just need to know where your closest UPS drop-off location is, so that when you have something that you need to drop off at a UPS location, you know exactly where to go. There's also, UPS also does pickup options too. So if you can actually select pickup and set up a pickup on ups.com. So if you know you've got a few boxes that and you're farther away from a UPS drop-off location, you can always do the UPS pickup. And in most cases, that's free. The other thing that I want to mention is that as a choice when you're setting up your shipping is free local pickup. So let me just show you. Hang on. I will show you on this phone. Ugh. Show notes, import less show notes. Oh, shoot. My show notes are not in here. All right, I will do that later. Someone remind me later to do the show notes. Fix the show notes. Okay. Let me show you. We're gonna go out of here. We're gonna go out of here. We're gonna minimize the show. All right. So when you schedule a show and you do yada yada yada, you get to this point, you get your category, and then you have your shipping settings, right? So when you set up the show, you want to hit more options, and then you've got free pickup, free local pickup. Now, when you set up local pickup, hi, Allie, how are you? When you set up local pickup, it's really important that you put in where you're going to, I don't know why it says that, P.O. Box. It says P.O. Box. That makes no sense. There we go. That's better. So local pickup, you would select the address where people are going to pick up, and then you can add more information. So the address that I put in is the post office in Hastings. But then I also have that you can meet me at the post office or at the antique market. A lot of people prefer to pick up at the antique market because then they can go shopping too. Hi, V's thrifted it, Ronnie. So I just say DM me to arrange a time. So local pickup is great because then you can advertise more locally about your shows and tell people that there's no shipping costs because you can pick up. And you can put it in your show notes that if you live close to me, um, you know, select free local pickup. It makes life a lot easier. And then you're going to have you have to select your preferred shipping provider. So obviously for me, it's Canada Post. And then the other thing it wants you to ask is shipping costs. This is new for Whatnot Canada. It is set up. AHGCS, can you explain how to add another address? Yeah, absolutely. So you go into here where it says location, and then it's going to come up with, I'm just trying to, yeah, I can't show this. So it's going to come up with a whole bunch of addresses. And you can go to at the very top of the screen that you can't see because it's covered by the black. At the very top of the screen right here is a little button for create a new one. So, oops, daisies. So you do that, and then you can add an address right here. You can create a new address. So you can search for your address, or you can just type it out right here. And then you can select whether it's your default shipping address or your return address, or just don't check that. And then you hit save, and it will create a new one on your list. So free, that's free. Then, hey, Cindy. And then the next thing is, oh, I'm so tired. The next thing is buyer pays all shipping. This is brand new. So this is new to us in Whatnot Canada. You can select seller pays all shipping, buyer pays to set a buyer pays up to a set shipping cost, or buyer pays all shipping. And I'm going to talk about this a little bit later about that part of the shipping decision is, are you going to do free or reduced shipping? Actually, I'll talk about it now. So if you're going to do local pickup, we'll go back to local pickup for a second. If you're going to offer free local pickup, you need to set that up before your first sale. It has to be set up before you start the show. I suggest that you pick a neutral location wherever possible. Please don't. If you have children at home, do not use your home address. And you do not use your home address as your return address on your shipping label. Set up a return address using that way that I showed you with the how to set up the address for the free local pickup. Select an address that is neutral, like a PO box if you can afford one. There's also there's a virtual PO box that you can do in Canada. You don't want people knowing your home address, and you don't want people coming to your home at all hours. Consider your safety and convenience. De-archivist uses the FBI building. We don't have FBI, so your police station, the post office, somewhere that you feel that is safe and secure and has cameras. Now, the next thing you need to think about is whether you're going to do free or reduced shipping. It can be an extremely useful tool for marketing, but it can also bankrupt you. So budget accordingly and price accordingly if you are going to use it. So you can offer free shipping. That means you, the seller, pay all the shipping costs for all the items in that show. For all your buyers, all the items in the show are free shipping. You're paying for that. So you need to figure out how you're going to recoup those costs. Or you can offer reduced shipping. Reduced shipping means buyer pays a maximum amount. So say you decide buyer pays no more than $15 for shipping, and anything above that I pay for. Or buyer only pays $5 for shipping, and I pay for everything after that. If you've already done a few shows, before you decide to do that, go to your past shows, go to your past shipments, and look at some of your big orders, your big heavy orders, and click on the little down button beside the person's name and look at all of the all of the different costs that they had, because it will actually show you they paid this first item, they paid $19 for shipping. The next item they paid 43 cents. The next item was free. The next item was 7 cents. The next item was 73 cents, etc. And you can add all that up and do that with a few of your buyers and see how much are they paying for shipping. Can I afford to cover that cost? And if the answer is no, I can't afford to cover that cost, then don't do it. Leave it as buyer pays all shipping. Good morning, Blasian Bunny. How are you? Everyone, please follow Blasian Bunny. She's awesome and she does really great chat shows. And she's a sweetheart. So budget accordingly and price accordingly. Someone's got to pay those costs, right? Normally when someone for example, if you get free shipping on, Shaper Mint is offering free shipping for all their, bras over $100, blah 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 blah. Well, guess what? You're paying for that shipping. It's in the cost of the bra. Like, the buyer is paying for the shipping somehow. So whenever I see free shipping, I think, yeah, you know what? I'm not really getting free shipping, because they've got to pass those costs on to us somehow. They just put it into the price. So if I want you to use caution about using free or reduced shipping in Canada, because our shipping costs are way higher than the United States, use caution if you're running low starts. I would suggest not doing it. Or if you're selling with low margin items, or you're still building an audience, free or reduced shipping can cost you a lot of money. You can lose money really quickly if you're not careful by offering free or reduced shipping. So if you're new, think about, are you willing to lose money on a show in order to build your audience? It is a great marketing tool. I'm not saying it's not a great marketing tool, but some of us can't afford to use that marketing tool. So when you create, that's that. All right, we've done that. I've flogged that horse enough. Okay. Dead horse. I mean, I wouldn't actually flog a horse. When you are creating a listing, so you've already done your setup. You've figured out what it is that you're going to have. You're going to have chit chats. Are you going to do local pickup? Are you going to offer free or reduced shipping? And now it's time to actually create a listing. So when you create a listing, create listing, and you get down to shipping, you've got a shipping profile here. And Whatnot has some they've already created these shipping profiles. So there are a bunch of shipping profiles that Whatnot has already created by weight. Now it's in pounds and ounces, but it's easy to convert, just to switch your mode on your handy dandy. Very important to have. Like, this is one of the things that you cannot do a Whatnot show without a scale. And a bathroom scale is not accurate, so it's not going to give you down to ounces. So if I'm selling something, I need to weigh, when I'm creating the listing, I need to select the weight-based profile, as they call it now, the weight-based profile. I'm going to select the weight-based profile that it matches the item that I'm selling. So what are we gonna test out? All right. Somebody bought this roll of tape. Somebody bought this roll of tape. So we're gonna weigh this roll of tape. We're gonna pretend that this roll of tape is made of China. It's a artistic rendition of a roll of tape, and it is 9 ounces. So it is 9 ounces, but it's going to break because it's China. Because we're pretending this is made out of China. So it's going to break. So I need to wrap it. I'd wrap it in paper first, and then I would wrap it in the bubble wrap. Come here, bubble wrap. We're going to wrap this up really nice. So we're going to wrap it in the bubble wrap. Check. We're going to pretend there's paper there too. All right, we wrap it in the bubble wrap. And then we're going to use my handy dandy, where is it? Right here. And then I'm going to wrap up my bubble wrap nice and tight around the items so that it's not going to break. And then I got to put it in a box. And the box weighs, right? So we were at 9 ounces. Scissors. I did have scissors. All right. All right, we wrapped it. We're going to put it in a box now. And we're going to pretend that this box is going to fit. All right, pretending this box fits. So we put it in the box. Now we weigh it again. Hang on. Boop. Boop. Okay. All right. And now it weighs 13 ounces. So if I had selected from Whatnot's shipping profiles, if I had selected 8 to 11 ounces because it was 9 ounces, right? That would have been what I call raw weight. So that's its naked weight before it gets shipped. Its shipped weight is going to be 13 ounces because the box, the bubble wrap, the paper weighs 2. So I'm going to select 12 to 15 ounces as the correct weight for this item at its shipped weight. So how much does it weigh when it gets shipped? Now, does that mean that every time you make a listing, you've got to wrap everything up and then weigh it, find a box and weigh it? No. You're going to put a box on the scale, put the item in the box, add some paper and bubble wrap on top of the box. You do not have to wrap it all the way and then weigh it. Once you get used to listing on Whatnot, you're going to know how to just quickly select. You can weigh something and go, okay, that's 9 ounces, but I'm going to have to add a few more. So I'm going to put that in 12 to 15 ounces. You will get faster at that, where you won't need to put a box and the bubble wrap and everything on top of the item on the scale. But you want to select the weight that it's going to be when it's shipped, not the weight that it is while it's naked. So think about that. Your item is naked. You got to wrap it up to ship it. That weight is going to add on. So that's how you select your shipping profile. We will talk about a custom shipping profile next. I promise. So if you're just going to use Whatnot's regular weights, you want to make sure it is your wrapped weight, your shipped, ready to ship weight, not your naked weight. So anyways, we're going to select. Okay, next we got to do a custom shipping profile. So the custom shipping profile is not something that I use very frequently. In fact, 99% of the time I do not use a custom shipping profile. For me, with what I sell with estate sales and storage auctions and that sort of thing, what I use custom shipping profile for are items that need to ship separately, or items that are extremely large, or items that or the items that are very delicate that I don't want them going with other things in a box. So when I do a listing with them, I'm creating a custom shipping profile for that item. Now, how do you do that? Let's talk first about a custom shipping profile for an individual item rather than for a whole show. We're going to start with individual items. So I have, hang on, let me find something that's precious. Ugh. Please hold. Okay, so I have this owl, this Celadon owl from Blue Mountain Pottery. This is something that is a rare glaze. And no, it's an owl. It's a rare glaze. I don't want to ship this with everything else in a box. It needs to go in a separate box. So I need to take this item, and I know, isn't he sweet? I won't run him today. I'll run him when I start doing shows again, so you can bundle. Where did I put those? Oh, for the love of all things holy. I swear to God, I just had these things here. Oh, there they are. Okay. It's a porch owl. So, porch owls be such a great idea. Start doing porch owls. Okay, so he's not very huge, but I want to make sure that he ships safely. So he is 10 inches. I'm going to go inches. You can go centimeters if you want. I'm going to go inches because I'm old, so I'm still thinking in inches. He is 10 inches by 5.5 inches by 6 inches. So I'm going to say 10 by 6 by 6 to make life easier. So he's 10 by 6 by 6. So I measured that part. Now he's going to have to go in his own box, and I'm going to put a lot of bubble wrap and paper around him. And then when in the box, he's going to have at least 2 inches on all sides of paper to buffer if anything happens to the box, if the box gets dropped or that. So I need to add 3 to 4 inches onto each side. So I said that it was 10 by 6 by 6. But I'm going to add 3 inches onto each side. So do I add, that's 3 inches is actually adding 6 inches to each dimension because it's a cube. Okay. So you say your first one is 10. So you add 6 to that. So that's 16. So let me just go into here and we're going to create. So we go to shipping, you go to the shipping profile. And then here you're going to hit custom, and then you're going to hit, where is it? Create. It's probably over here. It's probably hidden somewhere. No. Custom. Created by you. It's got to be a button somewhere. Let me see if I can see it on here. Hang on. Please hold. Sorry. Because it won't show me on here. Create quality listing. You can go down to shipping, profile, custom, create new. Okay, I see where it is now. Shipping profile, custom. There we go. Okay, so, sorry, hang on. Let me show you. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Okay, hey, Rebecca. So, back we go. Shipping profile, custom, and then right here, under the black, it says create new. So we click, see created by you, create new. Then create a shipping profile. So we're going to call this BMP Owl. And now I need to weigh him. I need to weigh the owl. So that's step 1 because it asks you for the weight. So I'm going to put it on, and it is 1 pound, 11 ounces. So it is almost 2 pounds by itself. Now it's going to have a box. So we're going to put something in to represent a box. So that's a pound. The box itself is going to weigh a pound. And then all the bubble wrap and everything that I'm going to have to put around it is going to weigh. And that's going to add to it. And now we're over 3 pounds. So I'm going to say it is 3.5, and I'm going to select pounds. Now you can do kilograms, you can do grams, you can do pounds, ounces, grams, or kilograms. So I like to speak in pounds. So I'm going to do 3.5 pounds is what it's going to weigh. Then right here it says set the maximum number of items into a package. So I'm going to say that there's only 1 item that's allowed in this custom shipping profile for my owl. Only 1 item because that's the owl. That's what I want. And then I need to do my box size dimensions. So this is where we do those calculations. I'm going to do it in inches. So step 1, it's 10 inches tall, but I want to add 3 inches to each side in the box. So that's now 16 inches for that one side. And then the other 2 sides were 6 inches, but I need to add 6 inches onto that because 3 inches on each side. So that is now 12 inches on the other 2 sides. So we are now at 16 by 12 by 12 inches. And we're going to hit save. And I guess I'll take a picture of it. Such as it is. Taking a picture of it. Boop. Complete. Okay. And then we're putting this under estate sales because I'm being lazy today. BMP Owl. BMP. Quantity 1. No variance. Auction. Select starting bid. Starting bid. Today I'm putting it as $200. And select show is going to be... It won't let me select today. Anyways, so once you do that and you hit publish, select show, select at least one show. There we go. And I hit publish. Now I've got view listing. Now I've got my quality listing with the custom shipping profile. So let me see if I can import that in now. Import from inventory. BMP Owl. Return. There we go. Oops, no, not that one. No, it just, I love how autocorrect thinks it knows what I want. BMP. Return. There we go. BMP Owl. Import. Okay, so now we can see, I'm just gonna run this for 2 seconds so you can see it. So that, how much shipping is that for you guys, for you folks? How much shipping is that showing? Because that is a custom shipping profile that is going to go into just one box, that BMP Owl, all by itself. $16.62 in Ontario. So that's about $2 maybe more. Let's see. Let's look at, hang on, we're going to go in here. We're going to change it. We're going to change it. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to edit. No. It won't let me unpin. There. No, it won't let me. I will change it on here. $12.64 to Kitchener. That's not bad. Sorry, I know I'm going to be bouncing you guys, but I'm just going to change it from a custom shipping profile to... We're going to change it to 3 to 4 pounds instead. Save changes. All right. Now, there we go. Okay, so how much does it show now? Is it cheaper or is it the same? Hey, eSender resales, it's the same. Okay, good. So even though it's 16 inches by 12 inches by 12 inches, the price is the same as the weight. They have made some adjustments to the adjustments, as you've probably noticed. Thank you, Tom and team, for that. So shipping is much better. Is getting much better for us. But if I left it as 3 to 4 pounds, then that would have to ship with everything else, right? It would have to ship with everything else that was sold in that show or sold in that weekly bundle. I want it to ship on its own. So the buyer will have to pay the shipping, but for that extra, but it's for something that's special. I don't do it for if there's big stuff that's not worth a lot of money, I just don't sell it on Whatnot. It changed from 15 down to 12 for you. That's interesting. Okay, that's good to know. Thank you, Lone Wolf. So for most people, it doesn't change, but for some people, depending on where they're living, it will change. And I saw a question. I'm just gonna scroll up. I thought I saw a question. I did not. Okay, it's all good, I think. Let me double check. Oh, here we go. I'll always emphasize, we set this specific shipping to the owl before it's sold, so the customer Whatnot gets the shipping cost correct before. Yes. So if you want to make sure that you're telling the system that you only want to ship that item by itself, and not, you don't want them to ship it with something else. So that's where that's where I use a custom shipping profile the most. But we're going to talk about another way that you can use custom shipping profile for your entire show. So for example, Pay Tribute sells posters on, like, epic posters on Whatnot, epic vintage posters on Whatnot. If you love posters, you need to follow Pay Tribute. And PayTribute has set up a custom shipping profile because they sell in big, obviously they're shipping in big tubes. And they needed to have a shipping profile that worked for that. You can fit a lot of posters into one of those tubes. So they set up a custom shipping profile. They figured out what the maximum number of posters was that they could safely ship in one tube, and that became their max number. So let me just show you. So we go and we create a listing. And you go to, wait, I'm going to show you create a quality listing. Create a quality listing. So you go down to your shipping profile, and what they did was when they created their custom shipping profile was in the bundling options here where it says set max number, they put the maximum number of posters that could fit into that tube. So say that was 10 posters was the most you could fit into a tube. The weight that they put was the weight for the first poster going in with the tube. So you weigh the tube and you weigh a poster, and that's the weight for your first item. That's the weight you put here. Then underneath you will see that you put the dimensions. So they measured their tube, and they put the dimensions in here. And then this next thing is the next part that's really important. Set a weight for additional items in the same package. Because if the tube weighs 1.5 pounds, but the poster only weighs 5 ounces, good morning, Dave from Alberta. How are you? You do not want to have your buyer paying 1.5 pounds for shipping every single time they add another poster to that tube. So what you want to do is set a fixed weight for additional items in that same package. So you know that another poster that you add into there, every poster is going to weigh about 5 to 7 ounces. So go with the higher number, so 7 ounces, or you could go in the middle if you want to, but I would go with because Murphy's Law is the person who buys a whole bunch is going to buy the heaviest ones. So I'm going to put 7 ounces in here, and I'm going to say it's ounces. So when you save this, Whatnot knows that the first item I'm going to charge for the big tube, and I'm going to charge for 1.5 pounds for the poster plus the tube, the first poster plus the tube. And then if the buyer buys another poster, they're only going to get charged for 7 ounces of weight. And that's how Whatnot charges, by weight. So I'm not Whatnot computer brain says, okay, I'm only going to charge for 7 ounces. And then the buyer buys 10, say the buyer buys 11 posters. Their first 10 all go into that one tube. And then when the buyer goes to buy their 11th poster, they will get a new tube. Basically, a new box is created, a new shipment is created, and everything is bundled into that next shipment. So if they bought 22 posters from you in one show, they would end up with 3 tubes of posters. That's how it works. Because it gets split up. If you say the maximum number is 10, then the first 10 go into one, the next 10 go into the next, and the next 10, etc., etc., and so on and so on and so on. So I'm going to do a custom shipping profile for something that's very common. A lot of sellers on Whatnot sell clothing, and a lot of them use these wonderful poly mailers. So I'm using a recycled one. So sorry, it's a little bit raggedy because I put it aside to save it to reuse. So how do we do that how do we create a custom shipping profile for, say, a fashion show, or if you're selling fabrics? I'm going to be showing you with a bunch of fabrics, okay, that we're going to pretend are clothes because they didn't have enough clothes handy that I could do this with. So I've got a big poly mailer. You might have a different size poly mailer. It don't matter. So if you measure a poly mailer while it's flat, it is definitely going to be different dimensions than if you measure a poly mailer when it's got stuff in it. Okay, so we are going to max out this poly mailer as much as I can. I don't know if I have enough stuff to max it out, but we'll try. You know what I'm gonna do? Hang on. We're gonna make this poly mailer a little bit smaller, just for me, just to make my life easier. We're gonna make this poly mailer a little bit smaller for this. Okay, there we go. We got a poly mailer. So we're gonna do a custom shipping profile for a poly mailer that's selling something that can ship by poly mailer. So what you do is you take the items. So say you sell in clothing and you've got t-shirts, shorts, jeans, and jackets, and they're all going to go in the same custom shipping profile. Then what you'd want to do is put the jeans and jackets into this poly mailer. If you're only selling t-shirts, then you just need to put a bunch of t-shirts in, but you're literally going to put stuff in and you're going to count it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I still got room. I would obviously you would do this a little bit neater than I'm doing it right now. Don't do it how I'm doing. I'm just shoving. 11, 12, 13. Do I still have room? Yeah, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Can I still fit some more in? I think I can. 18. I think 18. 18 is what's going to happen. Okay, so 18. I managed to get 18 things into here. And it still closes up. So I'm going to put that. Here, Mr. Owl, you're going to have to go over here. I'm going to put this on my scale. And I'm going to weigh it. Boop. Oh, helps if I turn it on first. All right. I got this on my scale. I weigh it. It weighs 3 pounds, 6 ounces. So we're gonna say 3.5 ounces. So we're gonna say, all right. So the name of this is going to be fabric test. Okay, and the weight. So the weight is going to be the first the heaviest item you have. So if you're doing jackets and jeans, put down a pair of jeans or put down the jacket and weigh that. Or if it's t-shirts. So I'm going to take this one, which is a fairly big fabric piece, and I'm going to put that down, and it says that it's 5.8 ounces. So I'm going to add a couple more ounces for the bag. The bag doesn't weigh a lot, but I'm going to add 3 ounces onto that. So we got 6 ounces. We're at 9 ounces. So I'm going to say 10 ounces for the first item. So the first item is 10 ounces, which includes the bag. And then I'm going to set the maximum number. I'm going to turn on that set maximum number. I'm going to say this time that it is not 10, it is 18. So 18 is now the new number. 18 items maximum of 18 items can go into this poly bag. And then now I need to do my dimensions. So this is where the fun is. Because obviously flat is a lot different from filled. So I need to, there it is. So I'm gonna measure it one way, 14, another way, 11, and then the thickness is 5. 14, 11, 5. Okay, this is my dimension check. Am I remembering 3 numbers in a row properly? Okay, 14, 11, and 5 inches. All right. And then the additional incremental weight, again, we look at one of the heavier items. We put that on here. It's 6 ounces. So I'm gonna say 7 ounces. 7 ounces makes sense. So 7 ounces for each item. That's what Whatnot will charge. Hello, little squirrel. And then I'm gonna save that. And now that's a custom shipping profile for fabric. Boop. Complete. I don't have a fabric on here, so we'll just shove it in estate sales. Fabric on choice, There we go. Quantity available is a bunch. Done. Might not let me do 100. Done. And what else does it want? Starting bid, right. $1 million. Done and publish. Okay. Hey, the Brass Kettle, welcome in. Thanks for joining. Everyone, please follow the Brass Kettle. Thank you for the raid. We're talking about custom shipping profiles right now and how to do that. So we just created our big bundle of fabric that's as our example. So I've got a bundle of fabric. It could be clothing, it could be whatever. Hi, Sandra. How are you? And so now we've got our fabric. So that the first item is going to be, again, it's a custom shipping profile. So the first item is the weight of the item plus the poly mailer. Now, you can do this with boxes or whatever. Obviously, boxes weigh more, but this is how you do a custom shipping profile. Again, you want to make sure that you, if you're using a poly mailer, for example, is that you do a test run and count how many can I put in here. So my max for this is 18. I probably could have been put on the safer side and said that the max number in this custom shipping profile was 15 rather than 18, just leaving a little bit of wiggle room in case. So again, if you use this custom shipping profile, all the items will go into the bundle, into a poly mailer, until it hits that max number. And then the system is automatically going to create a new box for your buyer. If you're using weekly bundling, it will bundle it all together, but your customer should still get charged for the right amount so that you can do a proper bundle, because you may not have a big enough poly mailer, right? If you do 10 shows a week and they've bought from every single one of your shows, you may have to get a really big poly mailer. So the one caution that I have about custom shipping profiles is that use only one custom shipping profile per show, unless you're doing like what I do for precious items that are going to go in a box all by themselves. Then you can have as many as you want of those, where it's like only one item per box. That's different. But if you're doing custom shipping profile and you think, I'll do a custom shipping profile for items that weigh 8 to 11 ounces, and I'll do another one for items that weigh 2 to 3 pounds, etc., it's going to create multiple boxes, because each custom shipping profile is telling the system to create a new box where all those things in that custom shipping profile are going to go. So don't mix multiple big custom shipping profiles for multiple items. Don't mix them in shows, because you're going to create multiple boxes and you're going to have your customer charged a lot, which is maybe what happened. There was a question at the beginning. That may be what happened to Tova's home, is that you had a custom shipping profile. Granny Kathy asks, I've had deliveries where dimensions are 13 by 13 regardless of the actual size. Does size really matter, or does weight determine shipping? If you are using Canada Post or Chit Chats, you must change dimensions and weight. And right now in the US, a lot of and I know that a lot of Whatnot sellers in Canada are ignoring that and just hitting generate label. This will come back to bite all of us. You're harming the entire seller community by doing this, because chargebacks are going to start happening. And what happened in the US with USPS is that sellers were just hitting generate label. They were not adjusting, or they were fudging things. So if it was a 10-pound box, they were putting it as 8 pounds, because they knew then they wouldn't get a shipping adjustment. They wouldn't have to pay for a shipping adjustment, and they were cheating the system. And Whatnot has been covering the overages that USPS has started charging them, because USPS used to not have systems in place to weigh and measure boxes. Now they have AI and laser systems where as the box is moving along on the conveyor belt, they're the system is actually weighing and measuring. And that is going to come to Canada Post. Chit Chats also double checks. Often they double check, and you could get Whatnot's the one that's going to get charged for the overages, or your customer is. That also happened on USPS, where a lot of customers on Whatnot were getting charged for shipping, for the extra cost of shipping, because the seller was not putting the correct dimensions and weight. Make sure that you check your scale every once in a while to see if it's correct. You could compare it to the scale at Canada Post. You can always take your scale with you and say, can we just test out? Can I just quickly, if it's not, they're not busy, can I test out my scale and make sure that it matches your scale? And that, how you do that, you take anything that you want to weigh, find something heavy to weigh, um, have your scale, put it on your scale, see what it says in grams on your scale, and then put it on the Canada Post scale and see what it says there and see if they match up. You may have a difference, and that difference could cost you money in the future. Whatnot has already sent out a warning to all US sellers that if they that any overages soon will be charged back to them. Whatnot has been covering all of those overages. They will soon be charging that back. That will come to Canada if we continue to do what some sellers are doing, which is just hitting generate label and not changing the measurements. It will come to us, and I will talk about that in a second. So, you can create a custom shipping profile. So we've gone over custom shipping profile. Does anybody have any questions about custom shipping profile at all? Um, Otherwise, we'll move on. Okay, don't see any questions. So next, after your show finishes, and I need to charge my phone, so we're gonna have to switch. I can see that the phone is about to die, so we're going to charge it up. So you're going to be on a different angle with me. I apologize, but there we go. All right, we're charging now. Good. So next up is the next step. So you've created your listings. If you've done any custom shipping profiles, they're there. You run your show and you finish your show, and what's next? And I don't know, why is weekly bundling a weekly bundling? Okay, weekly bundling is farther along, but you can select weekly bundling, and we'll talk about that. So after your show ends, you need to go to seller.whatnot.com, or you can look on your app, and you'll be able to see the shipments that you have that you need to do after your show. If you're using weekly bundling, you will see the date when it needs to ship. It'll show a date, and that will be the next Sunday, the following Sunday, because weekly bundling is from Monday to Sunday. So it will show that date. Anybody who didn't select, if your buyer did not opt into weekly bundling, you're going to see a different date on your phone. So you look for that date to see, is that do they have weekly bundling or not? If they don't select weekly bundling, then you need to ship out right after your show. So you got 2 days after your show to ship out. That's the ideal, is ship out within 2 days. And if you go to seller.whatnot.com, it'll take you to Seller Hub and to the shipments, and that's where you can edit the dimensions and weight when you're ready to ship. If you see that one of your buyers is in the United States, my recommendation is that you message them and ask them, tell them that the de minimis exemption has been removed. I just want to make sure that you are aware that there may be additional charges that UPS will charge you for customs duties and taxes, because there's tariffs, taxes, and duties, as well as a customs broker fee that UPS will also charge. So I just send, before I start packing up any US orders, I just send that message out, and I say, I just want to make sure that you're aware before I ship this out, because I don't want you to be surprised and upset. If you want to cancel, I will accept your cancellation. That's my business decision, is I would rather accept the cancellation. It's a pain in the rear end if somebody refuses the package.
and you have to like make sure that UPS doesn't bring it back to you, it's a pain in the butt. So I always message my US buyers before I even do the start shipping. Thank you for sharing this show, Sandra. So you want to make sure that you contact your US buyers beforehand. Buyers from other countries, it's not as much of an issue because most other countries don't have a de minimis exemption, and it will be shipping by Canada Post or Chit Chats, depending on where, which, depending on what shipping provider you have selected. Okay, next you want to pack. So you've gone and you've figured out, what if they don't answer you? Do you ship it or cancel it? Erica Unleashed asked a really good question. What if they don't answer you? Do you ship it or cancel it? If they don't answer me within 24 to 48 hours, depending on how busy I am, I ship. I will send a message that says I haven't heard back from you, so I have shipped this out. You may have charges, and it is what it is. But usually I've actually never had anyone not answer me in time. So I give it 48 hours. I'm like one or two items. If I'm late on those one or two items, it's not going to affect me as much because I do sell a lot more. I do sell I try to sell in volume at least. So I would rather wait and give them 48 hours, but that's up to you. I'd give them at least 24 hours. And if they don't answer, then you can just make sure you send a message that says, I haven't heard back from you. I'm sorry. I have to ship out within 48 hours. So I couldn't wait any longer. If you may have customs duties and fees, just be aware of that you may have that when it arrives, because the way that it's worded on the warning that US buyers see when they come into Canadian show, it says it's for some people, they think that the amount that it shows for shipping includes taxes, duties, and tariffs because of the way that it's been worded. So whatnot, it is confusing to some people. They think that they're paying for everything in that one number, which they're not. And for some items, there is no customs charge because it's exempt because of CUSMA. So the 2 days you have, two business days. So if you sell on a Friday, you've got till like Monday, Tuesday, if you sell on a Friday or if you sell on the weekend. But I always try to just get it out as quickly as possible. But I would still only give them, I wouldn't give them two business days. I would just give them 2 calendar days to answer you, at maximum. Okay, so you've done your show, you've checked, you've gone to seller.whatnot.com, you know which shipments you need to ship out right away, and if you're using weekly bundling, you know which shipments go in the weekly bundle. It's time to pack. You've got some orders to pack. So when you are packing things that are delicate, that could break, and the question is, if you drop this on the floor, would it damage it? And if the answer is yes, for anything, a Funko Pop, whatever, if you drop this on the floor, could it get damaged? If the answer is yes, then you need to package it securely. For me, I always, if I'm shipping things out, they get wrapped in paper, a recycled paper or tissue paper, depending on what it is first. That is because I sell a lot of ceramics and pottery and other things that have paint and glaze on them. If you put the bubble wrap directly onto a glazed or painted item, um, the heat when condensation builds up inside, which is impossible to avoid, and especially in this weather, in the hotter weather that we have this time of year, the plastic can actually adhere to the item and pull off paint or damage the glaze. So I always paper or tissue paper on top before I wrap it in any bubble wrap. With your bubble wrap, you want to wrap it. With your bubble wrap, you want it, if you're going to use bubble wrap or any other buffer, you want to you want to have at least 2 to 3 layers of bubble wrap between. If you push on it in any direction and you can feel something hard that's a breakable point, you want to add some more bubble wrap to that. So then I always use this kind of wrap. I don't put tape on my bubble wrap so that it's reusable. I use this, which comes in this really handy. Nope, that's the owl. Where did I put it? There it is. I use this stuff. You can get it. It's it's movers tape or shipping film. It secures really well. The only thing that I suggest is the end. Tie it or put a little bit of tape or something on it that's a colorful tape so that your buyer sees the end and knows where to start unwrapping, because otherwise it's frustrating as heck. One of the reasons too that I don't use packing tape to secure it, because you want the bubble wrap to be securely around your item so that it takes the brunt of the impact if the box was to get dropped. One of the reasons I also don't use packing tape, a lot of people do use packing tape to secure the bubble wrap around, is that one, usually to get into the item, to get to the item, you've got to cut through the bubble wrap, so the bubble wrap is not reusable. In a lot of places where they allow you to recycle bubble wrap. They won't recycle the bubble wrap if it's got packing tape on it. And also because I have often damaged an item trying to get to it, because I had to try and cut through very tightly wrapped bubble wrap. I had to try and cut through the tape that was on top of it, and I ended up damaging the item. So I don't want that to happen to somebody else, so I always use this wrap instead. And one roll of this will last me about 3 or 4 months, even with the volume that I was selling at. Okay, let me go pin resources again. Sorry. We don't need to look at that fabric thing. So you want to do structure over stuffing. A lot of people use not a lot. A few people still use packing peanuts. They are not very popular with buyers because they go everywhere. They also, while you may think that they're fine, they settle over time. As if you shook the box, if you tried it and shake the box, when you open it, you're going to find that those packing peanuts have moved all over the place. So I prefer newspaper, and sometimes I'll use at Christmas time, all of our wrapping paper goes into a bag that then I reuse as stuffing around items. I think I still have half a bag of Christmas paper left that I can use as stuffing. So I will recycle anything I can to put in there. As long as it's clean, you should use it. Reuse as much as possible. Recycled boxes. A lot of people not a lot. A few people stick their nose up at recycled boxes. As far as I'm concerned, if the box is clean, then it can be reused. If the box is clean and not damaged, it can be reused. Diaper boxes are fine. People are like, ew, a diaper box. What's ew about a diaper box? The diaper box held clean, not dirty. The diaper box doesn't have dirty diapers in it. You don't go to the store and buy dirty diapers. You put hopefully you don't mix your dirty diapers with your clean diapers. So a diaper box, yes, and a seller, Scuba Montreal says those diaper boxes are super sturdy. Like, I don't know why they make them so sturdy, but they're like heavy duty, great boxes for shipping. Same as baby wipe boxes. So if you're a mom or a dad or a caregiver to a little one and you've got a lot of diaper boxes around, save those diaper boxes. If down below I have my free resources for Whatnot sellers. If you use that QR code, or you can DM me and I'll send you the link of links, the link to all the links. There are recycled stickers that I use. I actually just printed off a bunch. So I just cut these out. So that's one that I made for myself that says we use recycled packaging, and then follow us on the Red Rooster. I also have this one that's free. It's in the free resources. And this one, I don't know if I have the other one. There's three of these, three different ones, and they just say, "Don't judge me by my box. I'm lovingly recycled," and I just put those on when I ship out. I set it up so I could print a whole bunch onto one sheet on my label printer. So then I just cut and paste. Is it the prettiest cut job? No. I'm not perfect, but you know what? I don't think anybody really cares. They didn't buy my stickers, they bought the stuff inside. So one of the things that's very important is do not reuse boxes that have previously contained alcohol, tobacco, or cannabis. Those substances are not allowed to be mailed generally through remailed, basically. So you want to make sure that if it's some people turn alcohol boxes inside out because they go to their local liquor store, but I'm telling you, your liquor store is only going to give you so many boxes. But because people always go there to get moving boxes from the liquor store, so go to your convenience store, your local pharmacy, your local hardware store. Those small businesses will appreciate you taking that cardboard off their hands and all their shipping materials off their hands. Just ask. Some may say no, but if you don't ask, they definitely have said no, right? That's the same answer because you didn't bother to ask. So find out when they normally get shipments, and that's a good time to go in. Your convenience store might get their shipments on a Thursday, so ask if you can come in Thursday evenings and pick up any boxes that they have. Most of them are going to say yes, absolutely. Take these boxes off my hands. They're taking up light, heat, and space in my storeroom, and I hate having them around. But don't use alcohol, tobacco, or cannabis boxes. Reuse them for your shipping. Next. So, free or low cost shipping, other free and low cost shipping supply places that you can get free supplies, and ask for their bubble wrap, ask for their foam, ask for all of that. Mia Vita says liquor box sleeves or partitions are great for when you're selling crystal glasses or champagne flutes. Absolutely. They're amazing for that. Your friends and family, tell them that your neighbors, tell them that you have that you resell and you need boxes. You'll probably get more boxes than you need just from your friends and family. What Liz likes picks up every Sunday. There are people who say, "Come out to my car because I've got some more boxes for you." She gets lots of boxes just from her church. Um, any when at home, save all your boxes. You're going to start looking at every box that comes into your house thinking how great it's going to be to ship with. There's also buy nothing groups, like groups on Facebook where you can advertise to your local community group on Facebook and say, "I'm looking for boxes. If anybody has any, I'm happy to come and get them." um, as well as you can get office supply boxes. So if you know somebody who works in an office, ask them to grab all of those boxes that the paper reams go in for the printer. A busy office will have a ton of those boxes on a regular basis that you can also reuse. And then make sure that they are clean, sturdy, and appropriate size. Dave from Alberta has a great one too. If you know someone that works in the school, we have the schools get boxes all the time, and it's a pain. So if you get to know, just go. If you have a kid in the school, go ask. If you have a friend who's a teacher, ask them if there are any boxes that you can come pick up. Usually if you go in and ask the administration, don't be weird about it if you don't have a kid in the school. Don't be weird about it. But schools also have boxes. You'll be amazed at how many places have boxes that you didn't think of. But basically every single store or every single restaurant has boxes. Everything comes in boxes. So you've got a box. You've got an awesome box and you want to use it, but it's too big. This is where it's really, really important to make sure that you resize your box. Oh, and one of the other resources that I have in my free resources for Whatnot sellers, I don't think I have one. I don't have one handy here. I have thermal label stickers. thermal shock stickers. They're really great if you sell glass, pottery, ceramics, fragile items. It's a sticker that you can stick on. It's designed to be 4x6 to print on a thermal printer, and it reminds your buyers to not just open their packages right away when it's too hot. So I have one for summer and I have one for winter, and it because glass and ceramics and even jewelry crystals can crack and get damaged if they go from a really hot environment to your air conditioned house and you just open up the box and start touching. If your hands are cold and you touch something hot, you could actually damage the say it a lot of times. uh the mailman is just going to drop the package right at the person's door on a porch where it's sunny all day. The person works, they don't get home until nighttime. That box got really hot and all the stuff inside it got hot. If they opened up that box right away, they could cause thermal shock damage to the items. So we do have thermal shock labels for free that anybody can use around the world. So resizing your box. Now, I don't have a sample box today because my basement got flooded and my life is in chaos. So trying to find the right box. All my boxes are being used right now to hold stuff that we had to rescue from the basement. But this is a tool. Now you don't need this tool in order to resize a box, but this tool is absolutely amazing and worth buying. It's only like about $20, $25, $27 on that big Amazon company, or you can buy them from a lot of different shipping places. It adjusts, and let me see if I can show you. I'm going to use this double. Okay. All right. We're going to pretend this box has got a lid already. So say I need this box to be a little bit less deep, because dimensional weight matters. The smaller the box, the closer to God. So I have a bunch of these big boxes, but most of my stuff doesn't fill up the box. And I need this box to be, let's say, 4 inches shorter. So I'm going to set it at 4 inches on this box resizer. You can also do this with a pen and a ruler and just a serrated knife, like a steak knife, because this is just a serration. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to put the box in. You're going to put the box resizer inside at 4 inches, and you're going to scroll across. Usually I can do this in one go, and it's going to do perforations on the side. So you do that all the way along. All 4 sides. Hang on. Yeah. Ow. Don't try this at home, kids. Hang on. There we go. And that's the sound of the perforation. Okay. So we got it perforated all the way around. And where did I put those scissors? Oh, all right, I'm just going to use this. All right. Normally you should use scissors, but we're just going to go down 4 inches. About 4 inches. I'm guessing right now. And you're going to cut the corners. You're going to cut each of the corners down. All right. Cutting all the 4 corners down. And there are YouTube videos you can watch that will show you how to do other resizing. Like if you need it to be wider, and you can use a box like this to make it wider. There's all kinds of cool things you can do. But then the perforations make it possible. It perforates the inside, but you could also use just a steak knife to do this. And then as you can see, the perforations, I didn't do the perforations right on that side. Come on. There you go. So as you can see, it makes it smaller. So you don't need one of these tools, but it unlike today, it is fast and easy to use one of these to quickly resize a box. I was just using an example with a box that's not normally used for that. So if you can buy yourself a box resizing tool, it means that you can take any box that you get. You don't have to be like, oh, I'm not going to take those big boxes. That's too big. You can make that box into any size you want. You can make it smaller. You can't make a little box bigger, but you can make a big box smaller. For in it, once you get used to doing it, it takes you no time at all. And you just make sure that you secure it. So you're going to score, you're going to fold, and then you're going to score it, then you're going to cut the sides down, all four sides down, and then you're going to fold it, and then you just want to reinforce it if there's any spots. You can also take a box that's too wide, and you can cut it down. I'm not going to cut it down today, but I will take boxes if I only need to fill like this much of the box, right? It's just too wide here, then I will cut it down, I will score it, and I will make the box smaller. Than trying to scramble around to find boxes. If you've got a free box, you might as well use it. Oh, there's the scissors. I was sitting on them. Okay. Now, some people put extras into their box. I always put a thank you. I just write thank you onto the. I used to write notes. I used to write letters. I don't do that anymore. Ain't nobody got time for that. I usually put a thank you note and a business card, and one of my stickers. You can also, one of the things that I used to do is you can add a coupon code. You can write a coupon code or you can print one out. I used to have these scratch cards where you would scratch it and get your coupon code would be revealed under the scratch it. You could buy these scratch it. The labels for the scratch it are available on Amazon. So you can put that in, and then you're going to weigh it. The fully packed box, you weigh it, and then you enter the dimensions. You're going to put the weight as well as the final box dimensions into Whatnot. Accuracy matters. And it's very important that you do that. Um, if your box is if the cost of shipping your box is more than what the buyer paid Whatnot for shipping, then it will be a shipping adjustment, which means that it cost extra. That's an adjustment. You get 5 free shipping adjustments per week. It restarts on Sundays. So you've got 5 free shipping adjustments. As you're learning, you may make mistakes and put the weight too low. That you will get 5 free graces for shipping adjustments. Sometimes, yes, you're going to have to pay a little bit. I can tell you that when I was running shows and selling 300 or 400 items or more, that my shipping adjustments turned out to, I kept track of what it cost me for shipping adjustments, and it worked out to less than 7 cents per item for my shipping adjustments. So when you do have a ship, and it's going to go down because they've made corrections to the shipping on Whatnot Canada, so it's much better. But even back then, it was only costing me 7 cents per item. So I keep that in mind when I see a shipping adjustment come through that I'm going to have to pay for, is that yes, it may be more expensive for this particular item, but think about it through your whole shipping for that week and add it up that way instead, and then divide it by the number of items you sold, and that is your shipping adjustment cost. And if you feel like that is something that you can absorb as a business, then absorb it as a business. If you feel better adding $1 onto your start bids to cover that, then do that instead. It's totally up to you. Run things the way you want to. Okay, so you've entered your weights and dimensions at seller.whatnot.com. If you're shipping to the United States, you will have added the country of origin. Now it's time to generate your label and print on paper or adhesive labels, slap it on, and drop it off. When you drop off, make sure you drop off on time. I've seen sellers who who generate a label but then don't ship for another week. That really affects you. Whatnot's algorithm prefers sellers that ship fast, because sellers that ship fast tend to make Whatnot more money. So dropping off on time is important within 48 hours. And there is an in-app scanner that you can use. I can't show it to you right now because I don't have any shipments that have to go out, but the in-app scanner is a feature you should use. It's on your Seller Hub on your phone. You open it up and it will become a camera, and you just scan the box. Make sure you don't have like feet pics, don't take a picture with your feet right there, because the buyer is going to get that picture too. So think about the where you've got things. I didn't know that the buyer was going to get and I was like, oh, I'll just take a picture really quickly. Who cares what's around there? But the buyer is going to see that picture. So make it look nice. You're going to put the package down with the label up. You're going to hold the camera over the label. You take a lot of thumb pictures. If for some reason the scanner fails, and sometimes the scanner doesn't recognize the label for some reason, the light's wrong or whatever, here's what you do. Put the phone down on the box and count 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, go. And by then the screen should have changed so that there's a little camera button that's appeared. Now you can pick up your phone and take a picture of that that label, and then it will usually be able to recognize the barcode after that. If it doesn't, it will ask you to select which buyer it's for, and it will show you all your buyers, and you just select the one and then you hit confirm. So that is a great way to get around that. It is frustrating when it happens. What I usually do is I will do all the ones that go through, and then I will wait and do those ones last, because it's frustrating, and I just go boom 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 through the ones. It usually doesn't take any time at all to scan a whole bunch of them. And every once in a while, though, one of the labels just won't scan properly. Dawn to Dust Musing says, one of my shipments I received, I had a label picture of her cat. Maybe did you get the cat too? Because that would have been kind of cool. Although the poor cat in transit would have been sad. That happens to you with the same buyers repeatedly? Yeah. So, so just put the phone down, 3 seconds, maybe 4 sometimes, it will turn into a camera. Not shipped, but also I didn't pay for kitty cats. As long as you got what the scanner doesn't like some addresses. I think the scanner just doesn't like you. Maybe Peacock. Maybe it's you. Just kidding. It's kind of weird though. Yeah. Sometimes I have no problem and all of the shipments are fine and I can scan really quickly, and sometimes not. But you just have to basically put the phone down. It will turn into, it's 2 of your repeat buyers. That's weird. Weird, wacky stuff. So if you are someone who knows that shipping is a challenge for you and it's going to take you longer, and scanning, doing shipments does take time. As you do more shipments, you will get faster at it. I was watching my husband do shipping, and for every one that he did, I was able to do 3 or 4 items and get them wrapped up for shipping. So you get faster over time. And so at the very beginning, you're going to be a little bit slower. And when you are scheduling your shows, I want you to consider your scheduling reality for your life. Will you have time to ship items out after this show? If not, schedule your shows for a time when you can do the shipments afterwards. Yes, you may have weekly bundling on, but you are going to have some of your buyers that are going to not use weekly bundling. I'd say 10% of my buyers don't do weekly bundling, and I need to ship out right away. So if I know that when I finish a show, I've got to check and try and make sure that I can ship out those items right afterwards. It's one of the reasons why I haven't been able to do shows, because life has been poop. So I haven't done shows in 2 months now, selling shows, except for that one. if you have lots of items to ship, that is a really good problem to have, but it still takes time. So if you need to ask friends or family to come and help you, yes, it may be that you need to have some shipments that go late. So my recommendation is that if you're about to ship and you're like, I only have so much time, some of these are going to be late, I want you to ship your biggest orders first. So if you have some orders where people bought 5 things and 10 things versus the people who bought 1 or 2 things, your instinct might be it's going to be easier for me to ship out the 1 or 2 things, and it totally is. But do first the boxes, that the shipments that are going to be a lot of items. Do those ones first and work your way down, because that will it Whatnot calculates your shipping time based on each item. So if you have 10 items that go out right away after the show, that's 10 items that went fast. And then you can have 2 items that maybe it took you 2 days or 3 days to ship out. Is that unfair to your buyers? Maybe, but they're looking at per order, not per shipment, for doing those calculations. Crystal D says, I got dinged for shipping late, but it was a long weekend, so I guess, a day late. How does that affect me? So you can always message Whatnot support, and say, I got dinged for shipping late, even though it was a long weekend and Canada Post and Chit Chats weren't open. Um, and you can just message them and say, this is incorrect, because it should have, if there's a holiday, it should count that as a holiday and not expect you to ship out. So like Canada Day, I think, is going to be on Wednesday this month. So that if you did a show on Tuesday, then Canada Day doesn't count, because you can't ship that day. But try and do it as quickly as you can. Canadian Girly says, how long do you have to send out shipments? 2 days is the ideal. You can be longer than that, but it will affect your score on Whatnot, and that will affect how visible you are to new folks on the app. Dawn to Dust Musing says, I have some items I want to list. They will 100% need a shipping adjustment thing. I'm still trying to figure out how to package them. They're long. Yeah, I would do a custom shipping profile for those ones for sure. Dawn to Dust Musing. And if you weren't here for my custom shipping profile part of the show, you can rewatch all of this on my YouTube at the Red Rooster CA. Okay, so let's talk about weekly bundling for a second, because weekly bundling has been available for a few months for all Canadian sellers. It allows buyers to combine your purchases throughout the week. Basically everything from Monday to Sunday. If you have multiple shows between Monday to Sunday, or they go into your marketplace and buy items between Monday and Sunday, it will all go in the weekly bundle if they opt into it. It can really reduce shipping costs for your buyers. So I really encourage you to encourage your buyers to use weekly bundling if you offer it. Put it in your show notes and mention a few times during your show that you have weekly bundling. And if they turn that on, they'll save on shipping. If they've bought one thing already in your show and haven't turned on weekly bundling, they can turn it on before they buy the next item, and that will turn that first item into being part of the weekly bundle. But if they buy from you in one show and then they come in, like say they go into your show on Monday and they don't do weekly bundling, and then they come on Tuesday and then they turn on weekly bundling, you still have to ship out on Monday. You can't combine the two. Basically, the buyer told the system to create a shipment for Monday's show. And then when they came in on Tuesday, they said, oh, now I want weekly bundling. After a show is over, you can't weekly bundle things in. So make sure you encourage your buyers to use weekly bundling. And it really does, psychologically, the buyer does feel like, I want to buy more and come back into shows that are doing weekly bundling, because I'm going to save money on shipping. So it is really important that if you do select, and I do recommend that if you're a Canadian seller, you use weekly bundling and encourage your buyers to use it. But after your show is over, you have to double check that and see if there are any people who didn't use weekly bundling that you need to ship out. If they did not select weekly bundling, you still have to ship out within 2 days or less, ideally, in order to make sure that your shipping times don't get dinged. If you are selling to the United States, this is another Canadian thing. If you're selling to the United States, all shipments from Whatnot Canada sellers to the US go by UPS, the brown trucks, not by USPS. They go by the brown trucks. You have to put in the country of origin. The system will not generate a label for you until you put the country of origin in for each item. Don't lie. That's against the law. You're making a legal declaration. Do not lie. If you are unsure, ask Lord Google what is the most common. So, for example, if you're selling Lego, there are multiple countries where Lego is made. So, go with the most common if you're not too sure. If you know Lego, then you know certain vintage items were only made in these countries, whereas newer stuff is usually made in these countries, right? But if you're not too sure, go with the most common or most likely. You're going to have to ask Google to make an assumption. The buyer will have to pay UPS customs fees. That includes taxes, duties, and tariffs, as well as a customs brokerage charge. So I always message my US buyers before I ship out to make sure they're going to be okay with that. You need to make sure you know where your closest UPS drop-off location is or select pickup, both of which you can do at ups.com. HTS codes. People are always like, what about the HTS codes? HTS codes are automatically generated by Whatnot. You do not have to do that part of customs declaration. The codes are based on the category you selected for that item. They may be more generic than what you would personally choose as the HTS code for that item. You cannot change the HTS code or change the declaration. That's on Whatnot's side, so you cannot do that. So, for example, if you sell in estate sales and you know that you have a lot of people from the US who buy, I would recommend even if you have generic listings, that you make sure that you do it. So say you have toys, put it as toys, put like a generic listing for toys, put a generic listing for electronics, rather than just a generic as seen on screen type listing. You want to parse it out more if you have a lot of US buyers. Don't use those generic estate sales, etc., because it will pump out an HTS code that is really far off from what the item is. Dawn to Dust Musing asks, what happens if a buyer rejects an UPS package for tariff costs? Great question. Let's talk about that for sure. So, if on Whatnot's guidelines for buyers, basically the TOS for buyers, if they reject a package due to customs fees, then they do not have the ability to get a refund. Will they try? Yes. Will they complain to you? Yes. But they are not supposed to get a refund. You will get your payout, but UPS could return the item to you. So it's important that you make sure that you put do not return to sender. And put something on there that says you're willing to abandon the package. Because otherwise, I've heard sellers who get the item returned to them and they get both customs fees because they get a fee from it going to the US and then they get another fee. Yeah. So just put on there, do not return, abandon. But it doesn't happen very often if you message your buyer beforehand and say, I just want to make sure that you're aware that there are extra costs. That is how you avoid that. You avoid it by communicating with your buyer. Do not assume, unless they're a repeat customer, do not assume that they know. Remember, the de minimis exemption was ended on August 29th of last year. It hasn't even been a year. Most buyers in the US don't even think about customs charges because they've never had to deal with that before, because since 1938 there was a de minimis exemption that meant that small packages under 800, like most recently it was $800, you could have a whole box worth $799.99 or $800 or less, and there would be no fees whatsoever. So things were going across our border really quickly, and things were coming into the United States. He eliminated that. The Great Pumpkin's evil cousin, with his little Sharpie, eliminated that. And so since 1938, you're talking about 3 or 4 generations of Americans have never had to deal with this before. They are not aware that they don't, probably not even aware the de minimis exemption got removed. So make sure you communicate. If you want to find out, if you want to find the little blurb that I use, if you go to the free resources down below, or you can DM me and I will send you the link so you can get to our Discord. On our Discord, I've got all kinds of things that you can use to communicate with your buyers, including the little blurb that we use. It's in our tariff questions section. Yeah, it would be nice if they returned the de minimis exemption but made it smaller. But the U.S. Congress had already created a bill that was passed that said that de minimis was going to be eliminated in 2027. So I don't think that they're going to bring back de minimis exemption, even if there's a new administration in our future. I don't think it's going to happen. So it's the new reality. All other countries don't have this kind of huge de minimis exemption that they had. So I really recommend that you communicate with your US buyers before you even start packing. Like, don't pack the stuff up and then message them, because you're wasting time if they say, yeah, I'm going to cancel. Allow them to cancel. Don't cancel on them. Make them cancel if they don't want it. A large catapult to get stuff across. We definitely need a lot more bubble wrap for that, Peacock. And Crystal D says, can you clarify? I'm to put the country the item was made. I thought it meant where the country's being sent from. No, it's where the country where the item was made, not the country where it's coming from. That's the country of origin. It's like my husband, his country of origin is the UK. He was born in Bristol, in England. So his country of origin is the United Kingdom. My country of origin is Canada. Loki's an Australian Shepherd. He wasn't made in which is actually a United States thing. So it's where the item was made. That is where the country of origin is. That is really important. No, don't feel no. It's a confusing thing. Country of origin sounds like where it is now, but it is where it's made. So you have to think of it that way. So the birthplace of the item. It's a very good question, and a lot of people get it wrong. You are not alone at all, because the word does sound like origin means where it is, where it originated from, right? So it makes sense. Okay. And oh my gosh, we got to the end. So just to wrap up, shipping becomes easy, and you will get faster at it the more you sell and whatnot, and you will learn the system. And in Canada, our system is pretty simple, right? We don't have flat rate, this priority ground, blah, blah, blah. We don't have any of that stuff. It's just weigh it, measure it, pack it securely, weigh it, measure it, put those numbers in, generate a label, drop it off. Scan it, drop it off. So if you want to rewatch this, if you missed anything, if you came in late, all of this is going to be on my YouTube at The Red Rooster CA. And you can always message me and I can send you links. If you want to get the link to the Discord, or you want the link to my free resources, or you want the link to sign up for our Canada Day event, which is like a raid train, except it's you schedule at the time you want to go on Canada Day. And there may be, last year they did a little promotion where there was lower commission on Canada Day. They might repeat that this year. So doing a show on Canada Day is a good idea if you can do it. And you can sign up, and basically it's like we all are going to be doing shows on Canada Day, and then we do them at the time we want, and then you raid into somebody who's also doing a Canada Day show that day. That's it. It's pretty simple. Not it's different from a raid train. It's a raid event, so we're all doing shows in the same theme or title, but we don't have to go on at a certain time and end at a certain time. So you go on for as long as you want, and when you end, just raid into another Canadian. So any other questions that I've missed? I'm going to check and see. I think I've got them all. Yes. Okay. So this is going to be available on my YouTube. Let's find someone to raid. Um, oh, it looks like there's a new seller. Czar's Blues Treasure Shop. Don't miss out on new treasures. They've only got 2 people. So let's go in and say hi. Fingers crossed it's a good show. Let's go say hi and give them some love. And I will see you, I don't know when. Hopefully this week I'm going to be able to do some shows. I've got a whole bunch of Wade Whimsies to sell. I love you so much. It's Christine. Oh, perfect. Okay. Love you guys. Not new. Oh, okay. Well, we're going to go in because there's only 2 people in there. Love you guys. Have a good day. Bye for now.